a brief background of what Key or with Michael or with Ashibel. All right.
Okay.
The floor is yours.
All right.
Just speak to the mic.
All right. Thank you, NL. As you rightly said, tomorrow is World Tobacco Day, a day set aside by WHO, World Health Organization, to bring up policies to commemorate days that we are believing that in a future generation that people will really understand that tobacco is so harmful to our health. Everything about tobacco. So that is the commemoration is tomorrow. It's a global event that everywhere in the world people are commemorating tomorrow, 31st of May each year, as World No Tobacco Day. So that is where we are here to talk about what our organization, our partners are doing, what we've done over the years, and what we are doing, and to let people know that tobacco is harmful in any form, in any state. Thank you.
Okay, when you say tobacco is harmful in any form and in any state, I know there's a campaign on that. What's this campaign all about, and what's the target of the campaign?
We set out to educate and to pressure the governments of all nations to put in effective measures to control tobacco, both on the demand side and on the supply side. The purpose of this campaign is to let you know that nobody wins when it comes to tobacco consumption. The only winner are the manufacturers and sellers, because as far as they are concerned, it's all about economics. It's all about profit. But when it comes to health and life, there are no winners as far as tobacco consumption is concerned.
In pushing this campaign, some would expect that government should be at the forefront. So far, have they really given you that zeal, giving you that push to sit as an NGO to, sensitize people, educate them on the need of staying away from these, this product? Let me use that word.
Yes, the government of Nigeria has been at the forefront. We need to acknowledge the fact that there have been limitations. But despite those limitations, they've been able to, within the scope of what can be done, they have done well. Without the National Tobacco Control Act of 2015 that was passed by the government, we will not have anything to work with, right? Without the 2019 tobacco control regulations, there's very little that civil society organizations can do. If the government does not put structures in place such as the Tobacco Control Unit, the National Tobacco Control Committee, the multi-stakeholder approach, the NCD's work plan, there's so many things that the government has put in place to facilitate the campaign, to ensure that the campaign moves smoothly. The government is also engaging stakeholders to educate. The government, by law, has mandated tobacco products manufacturers and importers to ensure that there are warning signs on every tobacco product that is sold in this country. Those are things that the government have put in place. What the civil society has been doing is to support the efforts of the government. And one major challenge that the government has had so far that has not allowed them to do even more than what they have done is funding. And that is why we are pushing for sustainable funding. We are pushing for the government to begin to look at ways of, internally funding tobacco control efforts. But have they done well? Have they been doing what they can within the limitations that they are facing? Yes, they are.
Let's look at that product. It's addictive, right? So, in what way? It's good to educate people, and you talked about funding, but this addiction, how can that be broken? Because some will say it's cheap. With less than 200 naira, you should be able to purchase one. And if you do your mathematics, if you have 1,000 naira, maybe you have 5 sticks already, you are settled with 5 sticks, that will take care of you for the period of time it will take care of you. You now wait for the next hour where you go source out for another 1,000 naira, get another 1,000, and you keep sticking. It's cheap, so people feel it's affordable. So they don't look at it from that angle. So this addiction, how well are you trying to actually educate, sensitize people to curb the addictiveness of tobacco?
Okay, thank you, Peniel, for that question. Like you have rightly said, tobacco is very, very addictive.
But you know what? I need to hold you here. Let's go pay some bills. Okay, we'll pick up from here. Please stay tuned, Abuja. Don't go nowhere.
Do you believe in love, true love, greatness, and passion? If you do, then stay with us on Crowder Radio 104.5 Love FM, Abuja. 104.5.
Alright, in case you're just tuning in, this is still the Podium, our current affairs flagship program on policy strategy and good governance. Is 9:40 a.m. by our time this morning. It's a full house. My name is Peniel the other. Well, we tried to analyze the president's speech as well as our former president who left office officially yesterday earlier in the show, and I had Nwokorie along Dr. Makolo, who tried to shed little light on it, which I said tomorrow I will dwell more on that, and as well as I have some other guests with me from who are on the campaign against the intake of tobacco. I have Michael Olaniyan. He's a legal practitioner, works with Campaign for Tobacco Free Kids. Chibuike Nwokorie, Program Officer, Nigeria Tobacco Control Alliance, as well as Paul Ashibel, Communication Officer, Nigeria Tobacco Control. Good to have you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Before we went to pay those bills, I asked a question of addictiveness of tobacco. How well are you pushing this campaign?
Okay, so like I was saying, tobacco is very addictive, and it's majorly because of the substance in it, nicotine. The nicotine content of tobacco makes it very, very addictive. For someone who smokes or uses tobacco products, when that nicotine content drops in their body, they become uncomfortable. They become even agitated. They want to have a refill to get back to that, level, get that level of nicotine back into their blood. So that craving is there. They always want to go back to use it. So and it continues until eventually, sadly, it damages the body and even causes death. In Nigeria, we estimate that over 28,000 people die from tobacco use annually in Nigeria, and around the world, that estimate is 8 million. So it's pretty serious. It's pretty serious, and it's a campaign that we take very seriously. We, like my colleague Mr. Olaniyan said, we try to strengthen the position of the government because there are policies that have been put in place. There are provisions in the National Tobacco Control Act of 2015 and the regulations to that Act of 2019. There's a policy called the Graphic Health Warning Policy. And if you have seen cigarette packs recently, you would realize that it is no longer smokers are liable to die young as it used to be. Now you have pictorial health warnings. They are called graphic or pictorial health warnings. You see on one side you see a healthy lung, and on the other side you see a deceased lung, which gives a pictorial representation of what will happen to your body if you continue to smoke or if you take up smoking. We work with the government to see that that policy is effectively implemented, because there's abundant evidence that it helps to decrease tobacco uptake. For someone who is going to start smoking, for the first time, picking up that and looking at the pack, and you'll be prompted to ask, what is this and why is it here, right? And then there's also the text warning there that smoking causes lung cancer. So there's that. We try to strengthen the hand of the government to make sure that this policy is implemented. By the way, by the 23rd of by the 23rd of June, we're not yet in June. By the 23rd of June, that the current batch of pictorial health warnings are supposed to be changed. They're supposed to be changed to an even more gory image, so that when you see it, you know that you're calling for trouble for yourself, for your body, and not just for yourself. What about the people around you, your loved ones, when you smoke and they inhale?
No. It seems like everything is boiled down to economy, right? Seems like everything is boiled down to economy, with the examples you've given and with the passion with which all of you have spoken. We saw where borders were shut down from importation. We already know the problem. Is there no way we can just say, look, this is a no-no? Looking at the health implication for those who do it, and also tobacco ingestion cuts across all ages. That's the danger of it here. Both the old, the middle-aged, and the young, they all inhale tobacco. For government and your NGO, are there no ways we can just say this is a no and this is a no?
Thank you, Penda. As you said, these are questions, one of the questions we are faced with almost everywhere we go. You hear people say, why can't we ban it? I believe that's what we're asking about. But tobacco is a legal product. For now, it's still a legal product in Nigeria. What government can do is to properly, effectively control it. For now, not to ban it. And based on our research, I can't remember at this moment any country that has totally banned tobacco, but rather they regulate it effectively. When you were speaking at that time, you made mention of, you say 200 naira, 200 is too big. With 5 naira, 10 naira, you can get some sticks of cigarettes. Nigeria is one of the countries that you get tobacco products, one of the cheapest globally. We've been able to interact with people that when they travel, that from Nigeria here, some people send cigarette packs to their loved ones abroad.
Interesting.
Yes, because other countries have used taxation to control it, to make the prices to be high, so that many people will not be able to get it. But in Nigeria, as low as 10 naira, you can get it from one aboki or one somebody selling something along the streets. So when you look at it, in Nigeria, it's one of the cheapest products, and we're talking about government. Now, in 2015, the act was passed. That was a gift from good luck. In 2019, regulation was approved, a gift from Buhari. We are also using this opportunity to call on the current president, leave a mark, leave a gift, drop a gift in tobacco control. We are talking as advocates. Mr. President, leave a gift that's setting your agenda. Make sure you give Nigerians a gift in tobacco control that will remember for good. Because the way people are consuming it in Nigeria, people do anyhow, even the industry themselves, because this issue, as you said, this issue of tobacco control is not something within few minutes. It's so big that we need to look at a lot of things. So we are trying to summarize everything as quick as possible. But the truth of the matter is, tobacco must be controlled effectively.
You talked about now the addictiveness, right? But let's look at the National Assembly. It's one thing for a law to be passed, is another thing for us to have, stringent measures, have enforcement on it. The National Assembly, have they been stern on it? Have they been stern on this law? On, especially when we talk about even smoking in public. I don't even think the Nigerians obey that law. You move around, you're in the vehicle and someone is smoking. And according to what we've been told, health-wise, for those who do passive smoking, it's even more dangerous for the passive smokers compared to the person who is really smoking this cigarette. So, the National Assembly and our law enforcement agencies, how well have they been able to run with this law?
Okay, before I respond to the issue of the National Assembly and enforcement, I also want to quickly talk about I want to talk about why it cannot be banned, or why it should not be banned, is because any product that is addictive, history has shown us that banning it does not work. In 1920, the US prohibited the consumption and the manufacturing of alcohol products, and that was a massive failure. Because rather than people buying it legally, it went underground. So the current shift, taking lessons from history, we cannot go the route of banning. So what the government globally are doing is to regulate it in such a way that they try to control both the demand and the supply side. On the demand side, you encourage people to quit, you put health warnings, you stop people from smoking in public places, a whole lot of measures on the demand side. And on the supply side, you increase tax to ensure that the price goes out of the reach of the poor. And a whole lot of other things. You do border control, you do standards regularization and all of those things, just to ensure that you reduce the addictiveness, you help people to quit, and that's what we can do. But banning it is going to fail, because particularly Nigeria's porous border, if you ban it in Nigeria, people are going to be bringing it from our neighboring countries. So it's not something that it's not a route to go. What we can do is to regulate it in country and ensure that people are encouraged, are not able to use these products like that, like before. Now, speaking on the issue of enforcement, what we have seen is that the National Assembly is an institution of varied interests, right? People come from all over Nigeria with different agendas, with different interests, ostensibly to represent Nigeria. But by the time you're talking to 5 people from the National Assembly, you get 5 different perspectives. So in passing the law, they have played their bit. Is the law strong enough? No, it is not. Is it where it should be? On the global scale, the Nigerian law is not as strong as we desire it to be. But we have a law. We may not have 100%, but the little percentage that we have, let's run with it. And that takes us to the law enforcement agencies. Are the law enforcement agencies even doing their bit? That's a questionable, matter, because we talk to some of these law enforcement agencies and tell them about the National Tobacco Control Act and tell them you have a mandate under the law, and they say they've never heard about the law. You go to the police station, you go to civil defense corps, you go to different agencies that have roles to play, because there are several agencies that have roles to play in tobacco control. And then you're talking to them and they are saying, oh no, I did not know that we have a role to play. Or no, our role is this, not that. And then you're saying, no, read the law.